his angel ambassadors from the Cosmon Bible Oahspe. And the topic of discussion today is called the primary education of the second resurrection, or heaven after death. Here I will be explaining the labor of angels in the second resurrection, or heaven after death, the works that they do. See, what the Bible doesn't show you is that there's constant progression and resurrection in the spirit realm after you die. So you're not just going to go to one heaven and be there for the rest of your eternity. It doesn't work like that. See, and the Bible is going to have you stuck in that belief system. So you're going to be a subservient slave to a false God who's going to have you believing that his heavenly kingdom is the only heavenly kingdom. Oahspe is giving you the broadness, showing you the fullness of these things, so you won't be caught in the snare at the end of the day. Now, the primary education of the second resurrection, or heaven. Book of Divinity, chapter 4, verse 1, it states, God said, "For the spirit of a faithist who hath completed his primary education, what then?" On which all the members spoke. After that, the diva decreed it. Verse 2, "He shall serve 200 years as an apprentice Luiz." A Luiz are angels that are responsible for watching over mortal marriages and controlling the offspring of children to bring about righteous offspring. Now, he shall serve 200 years as an apprentice Luiz. He shall become proficient in the knowledge of procreation of mortals, learning to prophesy what the offspring will be, according to the parentage, to become wise in discerning how the spirit of a living mortal governs the flesh, to good or evil, how the spirit of a mortal controlleth the sex and ultimate size and health and strength of the offspring. So these are the things you will be beginning to learn in the second resurrection, prophesizing what the offspring of the children would be beforehand. Verse 3, "To learn which the Luiz shall take him to thousands of mortals, and he shall make a record of what he hath under observation. And when such mortals have offspring born unto them, he shall make a record thereof, and he shall observe the character of the birth and the foundation of the child, together with what conditions surrounded the mother of the child. And he shall follow that child till it hath grown up, and also married, and begotten a child, or children, and so on to the 6th generation." And this was the 28th divine law. Verse 4, "The diva decreed it, after he hath served 200 years, he shall be examined by his Lord, or his Lord's deputy, and if proficient in prophesying to the 6th generation, which is 200 years, he shall be entered as an Ashar, a guardian angel, on the list of 4 12s for every moon's change. But the 48 Ashars, guardian angels, shall not be Ashars, guardian angels, to more than 192 mortals, otherwise especially alluded by the Lord or the God of his domain." So for the first 200 years, you will be learning how to become a guardian angel, observing mortals' birth, observing mortal marriages, and watching the offspring of the child as it grows, and as that child becomes an adult and have children, and following that process. And by obtaining this knowledge, you will become proficient and will be able to prophesy prior to the birth of the child, or particular children, or a nation of people. And this is how you will be able to tell beforehand if the people would rise or fall, based off these lessons of guardianship. Now, verse 5, "For 4 generations of 133 years shall he serve as an Ashar, guardian angel, and he shall learn to have dominion over his mortal protege night and day, not suffering them, however, to know his presence, to accomplish which he shall begin with his proteges in their first infancy, remaining with them while they sleep, talking to the spirit of the mortal, teaching and persuading." This was the 29th divine law. And this verse said something interesting. It said how the angels can be present without your knowing. So there's angels always around you. Verse 6, "The diva decreed it, having served as Ashar, guardian angel, the full term of Ashar, he shall be entitled to examination by his Lord or deputy. But herein beginneth a new examination, which is, that the examination pertaineth to his protege, as to what kind of fruit he hath sent to heaven, the grade of his Esaians, newborn spirit, being the standard." This was the 30th divine law. Verse 7, "The diva decreed it, having passed the examination as Ashar, guardian angel, he shall now be promoted as Asaph, Now, Asaphs are angels who receive the newborn spirits in heaven. Just as the guardian angels watch over mortals while alive, the Asaphs receive the newborn spirits of mortals who has recently passed on or died. Now, having passed the examination as Ashar, guardian angel, he shall now be promoted as Asaph, where he shall serve 66 years. Here again, his examination shall be not of himself, but of the harvest of his department. This was the 31st divine law. Verse 8, the Diva decreed it. His examination being complete, he shall now receive emancipation of all preceding departments and decrees, and he shall have his choice in all places he hath passed, unless otherwise specially detailed by his Lord or God of his division. This was the 32nd divine law. Verse 9, the Diva decreed it. He shall now be entitled to enter the chapter of the primary soul. His first lesson shall be in colors and sounds, both of corpor, which is physical, and spirit. First beginning with gray of not more than 3 combinations. And when he hath mastered these, he shall have 4, then 5, then 10, then 100, and so on, until when any combination of colors is placed before him, he can instantly perceive every color, shade, tint, and the velocity of light, and its force emanating. And he shall pursue this study until he can create in spirit the counterpart of anything in corpor, or in the material world, or create in corpor the counterpart of anything in spirit. And of sounds he shall proceed in the same way, first learning a combination of 3, so that when his teacher produces any 3 sounds together, he can hear them and determine the exact velocity of wave. Then he shall begin with 4 sounds, or notes, then 5, then 10, then 100, and even 1,000, the which, even though made in the same instant, he shall detect every one and the velocity and force of each. This was the 33rd divine law. So here you can see this divine law begins the chapter of the primary of soul. Now, verse 10, the Diva decreed it. He shall now begin the practice of combining and creating color by sounds and sounds by colors, both in corpor and in spirit. His teacher shall make explosions with light and explosions without light, and by his eyes and ears only shall he be able to determine with what elements the explosions were made. This was the 34th divine law. Verse 11, the Diva decreed it. He shall go far away from the explosions, and when the waves come to him, even though he heareth not the explosion, he shall be able to determine by the waves of what substance the explosion was made, and whether in light or in darkness. And if in light, what colors were manifested. This was the 35th divine law. So here is showing you the depths and the advancement and intelligence that these angels in the second resurrection are learning. These are the same lessons we will be learning when we enter these realms after this physical death. So you have angels out there in the second heaven that are able to hear explosions without the sound, and are able to read by just the wave what type of substance was used for the explosion and things of that nature. Now, verse 12, the Diva decreed it. He shall now receive instructions in the sounds of conversation. First, his teacher shall cause him to hear 2 people conversating at the same time, missing nothing that is said. Then 3, then 4, then 5, then 10, then 100, and then 1,000. But no greater number in this department. This was the 36th divine law. So in the 36th divine law, when you become master of that law, you will be able to hear up to 1,000 people conversating and will be able to understand them clearly. Verse 13, the Diva decreed it. He shall now analyze the waves of voices, wherein he cannot hear the sounds thereof. His teacher shall station him in a certain place and cause him to read the waves of light and sound that come to him, so that he knoweth not only the word spoken, but the kind of person speaking or singing. This was the 37th divine law. Verse 14, the Diva decreed it. His teacher shall now cause him to read the waves of light and sound emanating from 2 persons talking at the same time, when he cannot hear, and he shall understand not only the word spoken, but the kind of person speaking. Then he shall read the waves in the same way for 3 persons, then 4, then 8, then 100, and even 1,000. This was the 38th divine law. So here it's showing you again the intelligence and the advancement of these angels in the second heaven, showing you that they can hear up to 1,000 people conversating and understand them completely. Now, verse 15, the diva decreed it. Then he shall be taken to a distance from a battlefield where mortals are in deadly conflict, but he shall not be sufficiently near to hear the sounds. But when the waves come to him, he shall read them and know the number of the men in battle, the kind of weapons in use, and the cause of contention. This was the 39th divine law. And here, this verse said something interesting. It said, they will know the number of men in battle. So just as America, when it sends its troops over to the east, when they say, all right, we're going to deploy 10,000 troops to the east, these angels have a knowledge of these things in the realm of where they're at by the waves coming up, rippling through the atmosphere. And they are able to determine by the waves from what we are saying down here on earth, and they can determine what's going on, showing you again the intelligence of these angels in the second heaven. Now, verse 16, the diva decreed it. He shall now be promoted to be a messenger between lords and between lords and gods. This was the 40th divine law. Verse 17, the diva decreed it. For 100 years he shall serve as messenger, and at the end of that time his lords and gods shall render his record and promote him to be marshal. And thereupon the emancipation of all the preceding decrees and departments shall be open to him, to choose whatsoever he will, except on such time and occasions as especially required by his Lord or God. This was the 41st divine law. Verse 18, the diva decreed it. For 200 years he shall serve as marshal, and under as many as 40 lords and gods, and in as many as 20 heavenly kingdoms. This was the 42nd divine law. Verse 19, the diva decreed it. He shall now be promoted Lord, and have dominion over a city or a nation of mortals, and over the spirits belonging to that city or nation. This was the 43rd divine law. So you can see that the 43rd divine law is when you become a Lord. And to be titled as Lord, you would have to have the mastery of all the lessons you have passed through. Now, Book of Divinity, chapter 5, verse 1, it states, God propounded, if a man die and be not a faithist, what then? All the members spoke. Now this is going into a person or a nation of people who do not have faith in the Creator, but may have faith in their false God, like your Jesus, your Allah, your Buddha, or whatever deities you may have created. You may call on Osiris as your creator, or Amun. We don't look at Jehovah as a deity. We look at him as the omnipotent creator, the incomprehensible, no beginning, no end, as described in Oahspe. So I'm not going to classify Jehovah in that category, although many will, because they don't have the understanding of what I'm talking about. They have the understanding of Jehovah coming from the false God's perspective through the wars against Jehovah in the past ages. But I covered those things already for my followers. For you newcomers, y'all probably don't know what's going on. But for the record, those who do not accept the Creator and accept their false gods as creators, these are the lessons for them. They would only obtain to the second resurrection after death. They will not rise higher than the second heaven. That's their limitation for those who do not acknowledge the Creator. Now, verse 1 again. God propounded, if a man die and be not a faithist, what then? All the members spoke, and then, verse 2, the diva decreed it. Inasmuch as he accepts not the faithist law while mortal, he is unsuitable to the highest exalted place of the light. For all official preference shall be to the faithist. This was the 44th divine law. But the verse is basically saying that the all highest places are for those who have faith in the Creator. If you don't have faith in the Creator, you will be subjected to the first and second and the earth, and no higher than that. That's all the false God, they fall from the second heaven. Now, verse 3, the diva decreed it of the same spirit, who not being a faithist, his education shall not run to the Lordhead, nor to the Godhead. He shall not be a column in the Father's building, nor of the arch stones of the great strength, but he shall stand as a plain brick in the wall. Verse 4, the diva said, I am not created God to merely serve my time, and there an end. I am to look far ahead as to who shall be lords and gods over the earth and atmosphere. Verse 5, the diva propounded, what then shall be the course of a spirit who was not a faithist? This was made the 46th divine law. He shall be delivered to the Asaphs, which are angels that receive the newborn spirits, or mortals who have just crossed over, who shall enter him in the nurses as an Isaean, meaning newborn spirit, where he shall remain 6 years, learning the elementary powers and expressions. Verse 6, the diva decreed it, the 47th divine law. The same spirit shall then be apprenticed in manufacturing and general labor, where he shall serve 12 years unless previously instructed in these things while immortal. So we're showing you if you had certain talents while on earth, like carpentry or electrician, these same talents are parallel in the spirit world. Now, verse 7, the diva decreed it, the 48th divine law. He shall now enter school and learn surveying and measuring without instruments, and determining the kind of emanations that rise up from the earth, their altitude and density. And he shall learn exploration and enumeration in both corpor and spirit, the building of podomizers, octivanes, which are spacecrafts, the constructing of aeroships, and all other vessels used in the heavens to carry things from place to place. And he shall serve 30 years in these things. So here again, it's showing you that in this book, in the Oahspe, showing you that the angels build the spacecrafts. No different than we on earth build airplanes. See the parallel? See how simple that is to comprehend? But the Bible readers make this so far out and complicated, like it's just that hard to understand. Now, verse 8, the diva decreed it, the 49th divine law. He shall now be promoted to restoring, nursing, and caring for the drugers, which are spirits of darkness, who are being rescued by the captains, the generals, and lords, in which service he shall be for 30 years. But in both the 48th and the 49th divine laws, it was afterward decreed, whatsoever service he did in mortal life, in these respects, shall stand to his credit twofold in spirit. Verse 9, the diva decreed, if he now acknowledge and practice faith in the Great Spirit, he shall be promoted to the college of creation and taught to create light and darkness. After this, he shall be taught to sargos, or to create flowers and trees and clothes, and to take elementary lessons in music and expression, in which branches he shall serve 50 years, and then he shall be entitled to examination. And if he can withstand the 3rd grade of light, he shall be ranked bridegroom of Om. This was the 50th divine law. The 51st thus provideth. Verse 10, if he doth not yet comprehend faith in the all-person, he shall be granted freedom to all the places where he hath served, and he shall be emancipated from all lords and gods, and from all labor and education, and honorably discharged to pursue whatsoever he desires in any place in heaven or earth. Nor shall the lords nor gods take more notice of him than due respect and honor. So if he doesn't acknowledge the Creator at this point, he will be discharged from his duties, and that will be his limitation. Now, verse 11, whereupon the diva, son of all light, spoke, saying, this shall also be part and parcel of the divine law, which is to say, of the later class rise the false gods and false lords, that often set up kingdoms of their own in atmospheria. They shall not rise above the second resurrection. As I was stating earlier, those who do not profess the Creator shall not rise higher than the second heaven. That's their limitation. Those who profess the Creator, they will progress into the 3rd resurrection. Now, verse 12, the voice of Jehovah came to God, saying, you see that? The voice of Jehovah came to God. You will not see that in the Bible, because they got God classified as Jehovah. But here in Oahspe, it's showing you that the voice of Jehovah came to God, showing you that there's 2 separate entities, that Jehovah is above the gods. You will never see this in your Bible nor your Quran. Now, again, verse 12, the voice of Jehovah came to God, saying, without the disbeliever in spirits, mortals could not find courage to smite serpents. Without false gods and false lords, the lowest drugers, spirits of darkness, would never be put to work. They who cannot be risen by persuasion may be aroused by less scrupulous masters who make slaves of them. And this covers the primary education of the second heaven, showing you again the depths and magnitude and intelligence that angels in the second heaven are learning and have mastered. And the second heaven is the limitation for those angels who do not profess the Creator. And with that, I'd like to say peace and blessings and catch you on the next series called Decoding the Bible with Oahspe. Shalom.
All right. That was a good trumpet sound. Thank you, Heavenly Father, Earthly Mother, for this opportunity to be a light while I am in this reality. My name is Jaquab Ben Yisrael. Thank you for joining me. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge the angels of the daytime and the angels of the evening found in this book right here, the Essene Gospel of Peace, book 4. And today being Sunday rising, that means the angel of the earth. We have an opportunity to acknowledge the angel of the earth. Basically, just to be thankful for the angel of the earth providing for us, making it possible for us to endure our reality on the earth. It says, and on the second rising after Sabbath, say these words. So we're going to say these words together on 3. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Angel of earth, make fruitful my seed, and with your power give life to my body. Again, 1, 2, 3. Angel of earth, make fruitful my seed, and with your power give life to my body. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Angel of earth, make fruitful my seed, and give the power of life to my body. And then we read, even as your seed creates new life, so courses through the earth the seed of the angel of earth and the grass and the soil and all living things that grow from the soil. Know, O sons of light, that the same angel of earth that makes your seed in the suns also makes the tiny acorn into this mighty oak and makes the seed-bearing wheat to grow for bread for the Son of Man. And the seed of your body need not enter the body of a woman to create life, for the power of the angel can create life. The power of the angel of earth can create life of the spirit within as well as the life of the body without. And then tonight, this evening, it's going to be the angel of creative work, the angel of creative work, where we read and on the second evening after Sabbath say these words. So we're going to say these words together on 3. Okay? Let's begin. 1, 2, 3. Angel of creative work, descend upon earth and give abundance to all the sons of men. Again, 1, 2, 3. Angel of creative work, descend upon earth and give abundance to all the sons of men. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Angel of creative work, descend upon earth and give abundance to all the sons of men. And then we read, for this most powerful of the angels of the Heavenly Father is the cause of movement, and only in movement is life, work, sons of light, in the garden of the brotherhood to create the kingdom of the heavens upon earth. And as you work, solely angel of creative work, nurture, ripen the seed of your spirit that you may see God. Okay, so there it is. The angels of the daytime and the angels of the rising or the evening. So I want to introduce anybody who sees this video to a room I have. I closed down the other room that because brethren weren't participating, and after 8 years, I think I've had enough. And one thing I learned from having that room is that even brethren, spiritual brethren, are willing to take advantage of a brother and his desire to serve the Heavenly Father, meaning they will eat off of your fruit, but won't you won't be able to eat off of any fruit that they have. And maybe other brethren can let themselves be taken advantage of like that. It's too hard for me. I can't do it. So if you want to come into this room, this my room on Facebook, you feel like you're not going to participate, you might not want to try to join it. It's not really for you. If you're unable to participate, then you don't want to try to join because you won't be around long. So, I also want to introduce anybody to who is listening to the food ministry that I have for the purpose of trying to be of some service to less fortunate brethren, because I know they're out there. I know they're out there, and it's a hell of a thing, man, to have food needs, food insecurity. I remember it when I was younger, and so I got a soft spot where if I'm approached, somebody gives me information of a struggling brother or sister, especially with children. For me, you hit a nerve. You'll hit a nerve with me. Here's my contact information, and I certainly that situation it'll get dealt with. If I have to move heaven and earth, man, that's a situation that's gonna get dealt with. All you got to do is contact me. There's my email, and I'm warning anyone who is listening again. If I get a request and I can't deal with it, guess what? I'm going to cry out to you, brethren. That means whoever is listening at the time, I'm going to cry out to you for help. We got a brother or sister, don't matter what nationality, ethnicity, anything, all not just, it's not just for one particular group of people, anybody, man. Hunger don't know no color. So I believe that's the will of the creator. There's the contact information. If you hear of a situation, you know of a situation, I can be contacted. I won't run. I won't run away. I'm going to deal with that situation. And if the creator be pleased, that situation is going to get dealt with. And I know it's going to get dealt with. So can't emphasize that enough. Now, if you were listening to the brother Selah, and the video that he did on the second resurrection, I mean, that shows you the seriousness of what's going on in our reality. Most of the world will not be able to, and from what I can perceive, based on what I've seen in my life, most of the world will not be able to ascend past the second resurrection. Now, listening to the brother on video, it's really interesting, the second resurrection and the powers, even brethren who do not ascend past the second resurrection, that they will have, their ability to minister, the powers that they will have. I think it's out of sight, man. You know, I think it's incredible, the powers of the brethren in the second resurrection will have. The brother was talking about how after you come to the end of your mortality, that you get placed in an environment of learning certain skills for the purpose of serving. It's kind of like this reality where you go to school and you learn a trade, and then you go out and you make a living. And from what I can understand, the second resurrection is like that in a spiritual way. Brethren will, if they did not believe in the Creator, they did not show any faith, that they will go into a situation where they will learn to be, they will learn to profit the spiritual realm in some way. It won't be in a, I don't know how to put it. They will be like, in this reality, you have people who like middle class and basically they have a trade and they can, like plumbing or truck driving. And from what I understand, based on what the brother was sharing, it's going to be the same way in the spiritual. Brethren are going to be educated, they're going to be outfitted with certain skills for the administration of the spiritual realm. From what I understand, because when you think of the spiritual, you think of the heavens, you got to know that there's an administration in the heavens. It ain't just everybody just freaking out any old kind of way they want to. There's an administration, as above, so below. Isn't that what they say? So you got to give glory to the Creator, the way He has things set up. Now, you brethren, you faithists, you brethren who will be able to ascend past the second resurrection, from what the brother was saying on video, and I agree with it. I mean, I could hear it. There's some things you just are able to hear. You're able to hear it. In the spiritual, you are going to ascend to the position of like Orion chiefs, marshals, gods, lords, if I'm understanding correctly, meaning that you will be much more powerful, much more that you will be able to experience. From what I understand, you will be able to ascend higher in your learning. You will inherit greater power and authority. You faithists, I'm talking about, you brethren who are under the, you you are able to subscribe to the things like the Oahspe Bible. Talking to you, brethren. You brethren are called my chosen. The inheritance for brethren like you is, it's an incredible thing, man. From what I understand, just the knowledge of ascending to godhood, gods and goddesses. I mean, even that right there. I mean, we can't even wrap our mind around it, but that's the agenda for brethren like you who have been outfitted with faith. You have the ability to believe, even though in this reality, we are surrounded like you wouldn't believe, man. I mean, surrounded by what the Oahspe calls the drugs. The drugs. People who they don't, they just don't have any gift or any desire to be resurrected, to manifest any spirituality, a drop, a low mortal. I mean, they're satisfied with no spirituality, a drunk. And so, my video, I really wanted to, because the experience that I had in my room, it really, I mean, I've had that room for like 8 years, and it's pretty much the same thing. Every once in a while, you find a diamond in the rough That means a brother or sister who will come in and they're a lively stone. They'll start participating. They'll start sharing. They get it. They realize that they are elevating. They're going to elevate in their spirit by serving one another, by ministering to one another. I mean, the Oahspe, really, the bottom line, the will of the Creator, that you serve one another, that you be about good works, that you be about encouraging or building up your brethren. You have your brethren's best interests at heart. I mean, that's the bottom line right there. That's the will of the Father. You start on that path, and then the angels and lords and gods, the righteous, they work with you. They lead and guide you. Now, again, we have wicked, unrighteous gods, lords, and angels, and they have subdued the whole world through religion, the beast kingdoms, daily, daily taking captive the spirits of men. So, you faithists, which is what we are, man, we got one hell of a. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but the fact, if you brethren have the ability to believe this word, and I say ability, man, because number one, the majority of the world don't have it. You brethren see it coming against the beast kingdom, knowing what the beast kingdom is. I love what the Oahspe said. It said that we may start out small, but year by year, people are going to come in faster and faster out of the beast kingdom. The Cosmic era. Brethren are going to come out faster and faster now. So, what I also like to do on my videos, I like to look at the metaphysical meaning. I have a sister who blesses my soul with, she likes to share the metaphysical meaning of words, which can help you to deal with the vibrations that come your way, to vex you, to afflict you, to encourage you, so that you can identify them, so that you can elevate, man. The important thing that faith is really one of the things we really know through the Oahspe. We know about the elevating of the spirit. Let me encourage you to go back and look at that brother's video. Look at Brother Selah's video about the second resurrection, where he pretty much makes it clear. Well, not him, but his presentation of the second resurrection. If you want to know what happens to you when you leave, and you're either in your spirit is under the condition of being a faithist or not, look at that video again. Because the brother just makes it so simple that even a child can understand it. And the Creator is fair, man. He's fair. If, according to your free will, whatever decision you make, he honors it. Now, I don't know how it works. I think that if you are under the beast kingdom, if you're under religion, if you're under Christianity, if you're under Buddha, if you're under Hindu, if you're under Islam, Muslim, that sort of thing, Kemet, Canaanites, then from what I read, they have taken you captive. And you will go to where they are in the spiritual realm. That's how I see it. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know if I am, which means that you won't come out. Now, from what I understand, brethren don't go there forever. Now, I'm sure if an Oahspe brethren hears this, he'll correct me. But from what I've seen, what I've read right now, a brother or sister doesn't go into hell and chaos for eternity. They come out, and then they go to school, and then they have the opportunity, even from what the brother was saying on video, even after a spirit has to go and do time in hell, and you come out of that, and then you get educated so you can be fitted for service in the spiritual realm. Even after all that, there's still a way for a brother or sister to elevate past the second resurrection. But see, the thing is that these things I'm talking about, the reason why it's so important for faithless brethren to get together with one another and talk our own language is because the darkness that we live around. I mean, we we are surrounded. People can't hear us, and the worst ones are the beast kingdom, church people, religious people. They won't let go of that deity, man. They will not let go of Muhammad. They won't let go of Jesus. You know, and let me say this. I want to be clear about what I'm talking about. That you really need a faithless brother needs to be installed in every church in America right away, man. Even baby faithists. They need to. That's if America, if they wanted to come under greater overstanding, they should grab a faithist and put them in charge of every so-called quote unquote church religion really in all the world. That's the only hope for the world. But they are our worst enemies. You know, when you read the Oahspe, it talks about it talks about in the Cosmic era, the era of change, of universal knowledge, of advance in all areas of academia, that increase in wickedness was going to manifest itself as well. That's where we live. It was going to be an increase in the knowledge and effect of wickedness as well. But ultimately, light, truth, is going to win over. We got a decision to make. Everyone's got a decision to make. You got a decision, man. You cannot stay on the fence. That's what I perceive in the short time I've been able to come under the Oahspe. Everybody must you're going to make a decision. Let me emphasize that. If someone can hear me, one thing I know, one of the things I know, reading the Oahspe, that's clear to me, you're going to make a decision. And based on your decision, you are going to get set on a path of making the third resurrection, the celestial realm, the Etherian realm, the highest that a spirit can go to, the highest, or you will be stuck. You'll be stuck in the second resurrection, where basically it's like being in the middle class in this reality. You're kind of trapped there spiritually because your decision not to manifest, not to believe, to have faith in the Creator. I mean, we have the Oahspe, and it's pretty irrefutable. Even a young babe just learning, if they wanted to confound the wise, all you have to do really is just open it up and just start asking a bunch of questions like, can you tell me the process whereby the world was created? And can you tell me how and what elements were used to do it? Can you tell me the cycle of the planets and what it is described like? You know, you can ask 100 billion questions. You know, I want to say something in case there's a druage listening, someone who's under the beast kingdom. someone who's in churchianity, a drunk, if someone is listening, you better be, if you can't subscribe to this, because and you actively work to refute it and overthrow the faith of some brethren, you better pray, man. I mean, for real, you better pray that you're right. Because what you're going to be saying is everything written is a lie. That's really what you're saying. I've seen videos of you, brethren, man. You, brethren, really ought to stop. You really ought to stop fighting against. You're fighting against God. You really are fighting against God. Taking pains to show the contradictions. You take pains to attack the messenger, the person who was used. You just strain trying to show that it's just loaded with contradictions and error and lies. And you brethren don't realize, see, you better pray, man, and hope that, I don't even know how to say it. You're going to find out too late that you were fighting against God with all your arguments. And really it's pride, because you've been believing. You don't want to realize that you've been duped for as long as you've been believing in the God of the Bible. You just don't want to admit it. All you got to do is admit it. All you got to do is just let yourself go free. That's all you have to do, man. Just humble yourself and receive it and just break that bondage. The human being is amazing how they will hold on. How you'll hold on to the thing that's hurting you the most, man, by far. You'll hold on to it. It's a quirk in the spirit, man. You know? Deception is real. And there's millions of people under it. So I'm really concerned about my own kind, man. Faithists, my brethren, I'm devoted to them, man. You know, those are my people. After all these years, and they're not perfect. They do things, even faithists, they do things I disagree with, but I have a burden, a concern for them I've never had before. I mean, I believe the Creator is finally showing me who my people really are. It's been a long journey. It's been a long journey. I mean, Negro, Caucasian, Latinos, Asians, all of the faithist community made up of all colors, all nationalities. And I couldn't be happier, man. I just keep picturing a group of them together, worshiping in sincerity and truth, knowing that we have a real desire not to have any enemies, to help somebody to come out of bondage. That's what we're all about. This word that we're under, it is so good that we know that when you receive it, and everybody's going to receive the Oahspe, okay? Everybody's going to receive it at some point, one way or another. Everybody's going to subscribe to it. It could be in this reality, or you may have to cross over before you finally get it. When you come to the end of yourself, then that is when you're gonna receive this word. When you get brought to the end of yourself, when you see how your religion, your false god, and all that they've been able to bring to the earth, war, fighting, racism, capitalism, slavery, bondage, to money, to drugs. That's all that the religions, the beast kingdom, that's all they have been able to give to the kingdom of man. That's all they've been able to give. Pride, conquest, corruption, wars. And when you read the Oahspe, I'm telling you, man, when you look at people who they advocate for war, they aid and abet war, you can know, I judge people. I judge them. That means I look at people and I make a conclusion about them. Yeah, I'm not afraid to admit it. That's one way I learn a lesson. If I see a spirit and they're tied to the earth, I know it's just a matter of time before they're going to wake up. They're going to realize the road they're on is not the right road spiritually. I know that you're going to get led to a place where the dissatisfaction because that spiritual need is not being met, one way or another, it's going to manifest in people. One way or another, all your efforts to satisfy yourself spiritually, if you don't do it under the Creator, the knowledge of the Creator, it's just a matter of time before your foundation is going to break up. I know that. I've seen it. It's just a matter of time, some event, some situation is going to crack your foundation and you ain't going to be able to deal with it. I know that. I know that from experience. That's true for everybody. If you don't minister and sow to the Spirit in sincerity, I've seen in my life where eventually it's going to catch up with you. What does the Bible say? Your sin will find you out. That's true. So my mind is toward faithless brethren. I'm rooting for a faithless brother. If a brother tells me he's a faithless, he subscribes to the Oahspe, man, I'm with you. I'm rooting for you. You live in a world of evil, a world of darkness. We got spirits here. They are able to deceive brethren all the way to the end of their life, take them into captivity to false gods. Brethren or people don't know the power of false gods, how they can really, the power that they have, the beast. So, my mind, my desire is to be about the will of the Creator. That means try to think of things where you can serve your brother. Man, you'll get a kick out of that. I testify, I stay up day and night now, man. I think about something I could do that'll bless a brother. I've got this word now, the Oahspe, and if you get the Oahspe and you just open that thing up, man, I suggest go to the glossary and learn the words. What did they say in the Bible? The new wine. At every feast, they bring out the best wine first, but you had brought out the best wine now. That's what's going on right now, man. Brethren are under new wine, and it's so good, we want to share it with you. But nobody is willing. Very few brethren are, well, the elected, anointed, all through the ages, they've always been the first ones to germinate, to receive this word, to believe this word. And it's happening now. And it's a shame how easy we can look at the spirits under the beast kingdom. It's a shame at how we can see you. It's a shame the way we be talking to you and the questions you ask. And we have to repeat over and over and over again the same thing. I was looking at that video, Brother Malachi's video. It was a terrible shame, man. They were asking him something like, one dude was trying desperately to tie the Caucasians with the original eye hens. Eye hens are the ancient faithists. They had faith. They were spiritual. And he just wouldn't get off of it. And that brother had to keep on telling him, brother, I read it to you. I just read it to you. I just read it to you. I just read it to you. And that brother wouldn't get off of it. He was so stuck on race and nationality. Yeah, but your book, they calling us niggers. They calling us niggers. They saying we stupid. We ground people. We niggers. No, I don't believe that. I ain't believing that word. Man, what are you going to do 30,000, 40,000 years by now? When you see that race don't mean a hill of beans, it ain't how you start in this thing. Believe me, it is how you finish. No, but they calling us a nigger, man. You know, white man talking about he the eye hens and we the drugs and we the ground people. Hey, man, you know what? You better get off of that. And you better learn how to save your life, man. You better learn how to elevate while you got a chance. Because that false God is gonna eat you alive. You're gonna come to the end of your reality. You're gonna cross over. The angel's gonna come to you. You're gonna say, "Where's the God of the niggers?" And then the angel's gonna say, "Okay, come with me. Come with me." And then you go to a place, man, you know, and there is validity to the picture I'm painting for you in the Oahspe, but you won't receive that. You're gonna have to find out when it's too late. When you find out that you've been under deception, a false God, a God who called himself Jesus Christ, but his real name is Luamon, and you ain't gonna believe it, man. Now, I think that Jesus Christ in my mind, he was a wise man, and he spoke wisely, a lot of things. I personally, though, think that some of the things he spoke, his words were corrupted. And if you don't find a faithless brother I'm telling you, to read that Bible for you, let him show you where the deception is. If you don't find a faithless brother or sister, I guarantee you're gonna have problems because these brethren got gifts. I mean, they got gifts of discernment, man. It takes a mighty anointing to be able to find out the difference between a God, a false God, and the Creator, a God, a Lord, an angel. I'm telling you, that brother whose video I was playing at the start, I mean, that is one hell of an anointing he's under. I mean, to me, that's a miracle, man, to be able to make that discernment. And now brethren are raising up. They're under the same vibration. They're under the same gift. Faithless brethren. And people are fighting against these brethren. Like, it's a miracle. It's a miracle to me. Just like the scriptures say, there will come a time men will not hear sound doctrine. The Bible don't know how many times it witnesses against its own self. It witnesses against its own self. The metaphysical meaning of Zatu is a word in Nehemiah chapter 10. Zatu, it means to sprout, shoot, branch, green, fresh, lovely, pleasant, tender, young olive branch. Historically, it was the descendants that returned with Zerubbabel from Babylon. Metaphysically, it means a sprouting, growing consciousness and realization of peace and prosperity under direction of the indwelling Christ Spirit. That's what metaphysical, that's what faithless brethren are under. We're under Zatu. That's happening to us right now. Zatu, metaphysical meaning of Zatu. It means a growing, it means a sprouting, a growing consciousness and realization of peace and prosperity, because we know that it only gets better for us after this. After our mortality, we ain't got nothing at all to worry about. We know we go to our inheritance. We basically go to school where we start our training on the way to becoming gods. Did you hear what I said? Gods and goddesses. That's what it's all about for us. We here to make our mark and then to go to our place, and then we go to school, we start our education, and we learn about, like the brother was saying on the video that I showed before I went live. He was saying how we begin to learn about colors and the vibration of them, and to be able to interpret sound waves. All these are for the purpose of being able to learn to be Ashars, if I'm not mistaken. Ashars, is it Ashars? Or Lewis, where we come and minister to spirits and grow them up and to get them to elevate in their spirit. And then we master that. And then we go to another level where we learn to interpret colors and sound waves and able to overstand the conversation of thousands of people at once. And then we get tested so that we can go to elevate even more. Maybe get our own planet. Yeah. Yeah. I said that right. To get our own planet. Now, you know, me and my carnality, and I you know, from this perspective, man, I just want to lay down somewhere. You know, I really don't want to hear about no more school and labor and learning. And, you know, in my foolishness, I tend to think like that. But I know that when the situation comes, it's going to be incredible. I know that when the time comes, it's going to be incredible, man. You know, I know it's going to be, we can't even describe the joy, the peace, the love, the harmony that we're going to be under. You hear people in near death experiences and they talk about, one of the things that's common is they talk about the love they felt. I look forward to that, and I believe it. I believe that that's where faithless brethren will go. Now, I really believe that all spirits will go. I don't know. I just don't know. Certainly faithless, though. You know, it's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good if you can endure this reality. Zatu, a growing consciousness and realization, man. That's a vibration. We're under Zatu, man. a sprouting, growing consciousness and realization of peace and prosperity. Now, here it says, under direction of the indwelling Christ Spirit. So, in this context, it's problematic for me, but I understand the spirit behind what he's saying here. I understand the spirit behind how he's using this word metaphysically. But, I digress. Let's look at the next one. Jorkium. Definition: the people are spread abroad, scattering of the people, spreading out of the people, verdure of the people, green fields of the people. Historically, was a descendant of Caleb's, or a place in Palestine that was founded by Raham, one of Caleb's descendants. Now, metaphysically, it means spreading out of the people. The people is spread abroad, and it signifies the expanding of the faith and praise consciousness in us. Okay. This expansion is brought about by spreading praise and faith thoughts throughout a greater area or realm of the consciousness, where they become as leaven of truth that continues its work until the entire consciousness will in time become awakened to enthusiasm over the true things of the Spirit. This leads to abundant substance supply, spiritual food, and the true Christ freedom, green fields of the people. This makes one think of the 23rd Psalm. So, yeah, I can hear this, because we are going, faith is our, the Creator is going to win, man. I mean, the light is going to overspread the earth. The truth must defeat the lie. The truth, the light, it must expose the darkness. The people who are coming against you, brethren, right now, you faithists, they're going to turn. They're going to turn. They don't know themselves right now. It's like, we're like, look, it's like you as faithists, we dealing with little children when they fight and come against this word. That's why we can have patience with them. We know that they're going to come in. They're going to come in. That's what keep you going. You know that they're going to come in, and it's going to be even greater when they realize how much you had to deal with, how much opposition you had to deal with. It's going to be even greater when they realize how they came against you and you dealt with them. You were patient with them. You endured with them. But now they came into this thing. They see the light now. And the admiration and the respect and the honor that they are going to have for you. It's going to be greater. We know everybody is going to come under, is going to subscribe to the Oahspe Bible, to the Creator. Either in this reality or the one to come. We already know that. Because it's just too good for you. This word is just too good for you. Metaphysical meaning of Nisan. Now, Nisan was the first month of the Jewish ecclesiastical year. It is called Abib in the books of Exodus and Deuteronomy. It's like the real New Year, March. Abib. It means new day, newness, glittering, sparkling, verdant, blooming, month of flowers, month of green ears. And the metaphysical meaning is the springing forth of new ideas in the consciousness. That's what the Oahspe is. Even though it was published in the 1880s, it's new to a lot of brethren. Look, because, look at the videos. There's brethren who can explain it way, way better than I can. And they explain it far more interesting. And they do videos. And it's pathetic, the views that they get. It is pathetic, man. When you're talking about when you talked about the word, this spiritual word, it's the greatest revelation that we've ever had of spiritual things in history, by far. I mean, by far. And look how unappreciated it is. Look how unappreciated the brethren are that bring that word to you. Even to this day, unappreciated. And it gets kind of, it's like, I can kind of see the creator. He just letting people show how they can be so deceived so that their repentance will be that much greater. And then how he raises up brethren who they got to take it from the drugs, the unbelievers, the unenlightened, the ignorant. And really, it's a momentary and light thing, really. The opposition that we face. But the viewership of those videos, I mean, really, it's like, it's a wonder that people don't pay for this word to hear it. I mean, they got all kind of videos where you got to pay to see them. And it might be on some foolishness of a fight two guys had debating over this, and then they make you pay to see it. And at the end of the day, it don't do nothing for you. It doesn't do anything for you spiritually to help you elevate. And you paid for it, $20 to watch it. You feel like a sucker afterwards because you realize that they duped you into thinking it was something more than what it was. You know, this whole society is about gaslighting. That's how they make a lot of money. Like, you know, they show you a picture of a hamburger the size, or I don't eat meat, but you get my drift. They show you a sandwich the size of a Volkswagen, and then you go and get it, and it's the size of the palm of your hand. You know, that's called gaslighting. It's faking you out. It's psyching you out. And you know, the Bible does that too. That's why I was saying, if you don't get a faithist, man, if you don't get a faithist, there or some spiritual intervention don't take place, you can hang it up. I guarantee you can hang it up, man. You're deceived. The springing forth of new ideas, Nissan, into consciousness. That's what's happening to faithists. It's a miracle. We've come into the Oahspe. It's there to help us, man. It's not there to be worshipped. It's information. We need it. We got information now. We got greater information. That's why we're plugged in, man. We all, you know, I was talking about a couple months ago how Pluto going into Aquarius, and I perceived that we were going to be plugged in. Many of these brethren have been plugged in from years ago. I didn't know I was talking about myself. That's what trips me out, man. I got plugged in. Oh, man. I ended up getting plugged in. And I'm sure there are other brethren like that too. Oh man, I love it. I love everything about this reality, man. How the Heavenly Father, He tests you. He help you. He show you what He's going to do with you, the purpose for bringing you into a reality so that you can elevate, so that you can become a god or a goddess, so that you can learn what it's like to deal with mortals and to learn empirically what mortality is, so that when you come into rulership, you could learn to take empathy. That's what it's all about. That's the big picture right there. You brethren are gods in training. You brethren are gods and goddesses in training, man. That's the big picture right there. Did you know that? You don't believe it, do you? You brethren, you faithists, and you being raised up right now. I believe that everybody's going to be, the Oahspe said that they're going to come in faster and faster to this truth. It's up to us not to get the big head and think we're great, because they're going to come to you. They're going to want to know. They're going to want you to read the Bible for them. They're going to want you to read that. I think that the Oahspe is easier to read than the Bible. It's way easier to read. Nissan, the springing forth of new ideas in the consciousness. Also, they're coming into expression and manifestation. In you, brethren, your spirit is manifesting Nissan, new ideas in consciousness. So it's time for the reading of the word. The name of the video is Bible Verses on My Chosen. Bible Verses on My Chosen. Okay, let me see if anyone's in the room. Oh! Prince Judah, my man. Yahweh, peace, brethren. Nazarene, Essene, Faithist. My Faithist brethren, man. It's good to see y'all. Thanks for joining me. Gods or goddesses are only the first servants. Hey, bro, the technicality of all that, the overall picture is what I like to paint, the ultimate for any brother or sister is the Ethereal realm. The Ethereal realm. I think they call it nirvana. So whatever the order is, I'm not really that much concerned. The administration. I am, but I'm those type of details right now at this time in my walk, I'm not tied up, and I'm gonna learn. So gods, goddesses, first servants, whatever, just so long as they are faithists. You want to get your foot in the door first. Thank you, brothers, for joining me. This is gonna be real good. This is going to be good. Verses on My Chosen. Verses on My Chosen. Now, I'm going to be jumping in the middle of thoughts because I'm going to be looking at verses which have My Chosen in them so that we can be blessed. So that we can be blessed and knowing that this is talking about us. Verse 15, it says, and the Lord said unto the drunks. Now remember, the drunks, a low mortal who desires no spiritual life. That's a shame. That is really a shame. There are really people like this. A low mortal who desires no spiritual life. Can anybody believe that? A low mortal who desires no spiritual life. Something catches my eye here, up top here. You brother know who the Hebrew 7 tetrarchs are. Have you ever checked that out? Did a little study on that? That is one hell of an interesting study right there. The 7 tetrarchs. Those are the sins of the spirit of man. The 7 sins of the spirit of man. That's a hell of a study right there. But anyway, a drunk, a low mortal, desires no spiritual gift, just so you know. It says, and the Lord said unto the drunks, because ye have slain your brethren. That's the faithists. Because you have slain your brethren, ye shall depart out of the place of God, that ye may be known to the ends of the earth. I put my mark upon you. Verse 16, and the mark the Lord put upon the drugs was the shadow of blood, which being interpreted is war. So now what do you see in the world today? When you look at Russia and Ukraine, when you look at Gaza, when you look at the Congo, what do you see? When you look at Armenia and Azerbaijan, when you look at India and China, China and Taiwan, what do you see? You see either hostilities, which means war, or brewing hostilities. Do you see the amount of people who are potentially ready to go to war with one another? Do you see the magnitude now? Do you see the numbers of people who do not realize what the Creator has to say about them, how He puts a mark on them? And it says, verse 17, and the Lord said, by this sign shall the tribes of Judah and their descendants be known until the end of the world. Till the end of the world. How do you like that, man? He says drugs are people unenlightened, unspiritual, and they don't care. It's a low mortal, man. You know? They desire no spiritual light, he says. He said he put a mark on them. So, let me go to another verse where it talks about my chosen. It says here in verse 8, that they may not tempt my chosen to bring forth fruit to destruction. They shall be neutralized in my sight. So I have to go up. God said, because the yaks cannot be taught the crime of incest, behold, they shall not dwell forever on the earth. So also it shall be with the drugs. So also it shall be with the drugs. Save wherein they cohabit with the eye hens, whose seed is born into everlasting life. But with the drugs and their hears with the drugs and their hears that spring from the yaks, there shall be an end. Both in this world and the next, and the arms of the yaks were long, their backs were stooped and curved, and the Lord said, because they are fruit of incest and not capable of speech, nor eternal life in heaven, the eye hens shall make servants of them. Verse 8, and that they may not tempt my chosen to bring forth fruit and destruction, they shall be neutralized in my sight. And the angels of God taught the eye hens to make the eunuchs of the yaks, of the males and females made the eye hens eunuchs of the yaks, and took them for servants. And the Lord said, the yaks shall serve the eye hens, and build and sow and reap for them, and it was so. The eye hens were disposed to live alone, but the Lord called them together, saying, come and dwell together in cities, where it is meet that ye live after the manner of my kingdoms in heaven. So, cities in earth, cities in heaven. Build ye therefore unto the Lord your God, and my angels shall dwell with you, teaching you to sing and dance for the glory of your Creator. So let's find another verse talking about my chosen. Verse 19, Job's voice spake to Oahspe, saying, for 3 days, 3 nights, stand now in the firmament, that man on earth and in atmosphere may behold the power and majesty of my chosen in heaven. Okay. Verse 20, Oahspe said, on the 4th day, O Jehovah, I will cross Shinvat. On the 5th, descend towards the earth. Bring me, O Father, thy messengers from the Lord heaven. I will converse with them. Okay, so that's going to go into something else. Let me go to another, my chosen verse. God said, teach my chosen to labor hard and wisely, and to dance with energy. Isn't that something? Sing with strength and fullness of soul. Wow. For what more is there any man or woman than to learn to put forth? And what more pitiful thing is there in heaven than a man or woman who hath but dragged along? Oh, man. Some days I feel like I'm just dragging along because it's hard to get a witness. It's hard to find fellowship among brethren. You know, my brother here in the room, Prince Judah, his videos, he doesn't get nearly the amount of views that he should get. Really, all brethren are like that, really. That's what we're called to go through. And it make you drag sometimes. Your spirit want to drag. Whereas it should be joyful that you were elected, chosen to share this word. It should be rejoicing to be able to serve your brother like this, but the lack of interest in this word, it can make you drag. At least it does for me. Sometimes it can make you drag along. Your spirit ain't fervent, lively. You don't put no extra into the word because you perceive that there's no interest in it. It's just amazing how true the Oahspe is. It tell you about the inside of yourself. Let's go to another verse where it says, when ye are come to the earth and his heavens, and acquaint my God and his lords with my decree, and say to them, thus saith Jehovah, behold, behold, I will sink the land of Wagga. Okay, so this is talking about the flood. It says, O Lord of Wagga, down to my chosen, the Ihens, go thou, O God of heaven. It says, go thou, O God of heaven. And thou, O Lord of Wagga, down to my chosen, and down to my chosen, the Ihens, and say to them, thus saith the great spirit, behold, behold, I will sink the lands of the earth beneath the ocean, because of the evil spirits of darkness. Hear me, O my chosen, and heed my commandments. Fall to, all hands, build ships in all places, even in the valleys and on the mountains, and let my faithful gather together within the ships, for my hand is surely stretched over the earth. A warning to the chosen before the destruction comes. What makes you think that it won't be the same way today? We see that we're on the brink every day. If you follow social media, World War III, World War III, and today they got weapons that it don't matter where you live, it'll reach you. We are all able to be affected. If hostilities begin, and they're certainly threatening, all of us none of us run nowhere to get away, man. They got missiles that'll blow up a whole state. Let's look at what type of weapons man has got. What is the most powerful missile in the world, and who has it? The 10 most powerful missiles in the world. See, this is the children of men. This is the mark. They are under the mark. The Creator has put a mark on these people, man. And look what they got. Look at these missiles, man. These are powerful missiles. It is an American intercontinental ballistic missile. As of 2018, the LGM-30G Minuteman III variant has been introduced into service in the United States. Let us tell you that its range is 1,300 kilometers. It can carry 3 different nuclear killers, which can target 3 different locations. It is the only land-based intercontinental ballistic missile in the U.S. Look at this one, Satan. There's a missile called Satan, man. Satan. What is an 1,800-kilometer range? How extensive is that? 1,800 kilometers. It won't tell me. Sarmat. How much destruction can this thing do? A liquid fuel HGV equipped super heavy intercontinental ballistic missile. So I'm looking for the anything that will tell me about the bombing range of it, the blast range of it, the equivalent area of what it would do to like a area of land. I'm looking for anything that'll say that if this thing exploded, what would be the circumference of the area it would destroy? You know what I mean? Won't really give you an idea. But I'm just trying to give us an idea of the uh, the power of the destruction that's in the land. But it says here that the faithists, they get gathered together within the ships, for my hand is surely stretched over the earth. Thus saith the Great Spirit, behold, I will sink the lands of the earth. Now, the Great Spirit is saying this, behold, I will sink the lands of the earth beneath the ocean because of the evil of the spirits of darkness. Hear me, O my chosen. Check this out. Now he's talking to us. Hear me, O my chosen. Heed my commandments. Fall to, all hands. Build ships in all places, even in the valleys and on the mountains. Let my faithful gather together. Then the ships, for my hand is surely stretched out over the earth, as he's going to bring the flood. Okay, so I'm going to go to another verse on my chosen. It says, okay, we read that. Let's go to another one. For in all countries shall my chosen begin the laying down of the foundation of my everlasting kingdom, and they shall never more be destroyed by the people of darkness, neither earth or heaven. And from what I understand, America was going to take the forefront. He was going to use America, the Algonquins, Gautama, to bring the light to the world. America was going to take, if I'm not mistaken, my chosen shall begin laying down the foundation of my everlasting kingdom, and they shall never more be destroyed by the people of darkness, neither earth or heaven. Okay. Another verse on my chosen. I create alive all men, whether Ihans or barbarians, and your labor shall not be alone with my chosen, whom it is easy to save, but with those also who know me not, and know not my spirit worlds, yes, worlds. For beside those destroyed by the flood, behold, the earth is still covered over with men, women, and children. In the time of you receive volunteers from Oahspe and Etheria, give them this matter. Okay. Let's go into something else. Let's look at something else on my chosen. Read that. Was it not so in all times on the earth? Because of this darkness amongst men, they have laid bare the iniquity of their own hearts. For out of the mouths of my chosen who utter my words come words of truth and love and wisdom and kindness, and the exaltation of virtue. But from those who deny me come corruption, war, avarice, and love of earthly things for self's sake. It's no good to be deceived, man, to be taken in by the dainties of the earth. You know, where will you be 30, 40,000 years from now? Verse 25, verse 24, and the spirits of those that denied me on earth still denied me in heaven. And in their stubbornness and conceit continued to dwell with man on the earth, so that in the course of time the world was overrun by spirits of darkness who knew not heaven, and it came to pass that my enemies slew my chosen on all hands. Spirits, they die, lead us mortality, come back and incarnate in men, and those men become evil spirits. That means a rise in war, corruption, conflict. These are spirits come back, incarnating druhas. That's what we got now. Let's check out another verse on my chosen. And I gave the circumcision as a measure of boundary of my chosen. Verse 29, but there were giants, druks in those days, and in time after that, but there were giants, druks in those days, and in time after that, and my chosen came unto them. They bare children to them also, and their flesh became corrupt, so that vermin inhabited them from the time of their birth to the time of death. And they became rotten in the head with catarrh, and in the throat with ulcers, running sores, and in the lungs and joints with poison death. And their offspring was born unto them, came forth afflicted with the sins of their fathers and mothers, to linger in misery or to die in infancy. And they plus peopled heaven with untimely births and with spirits of darkness, who in return came back and re-afflicted mortals. Verse 31, and I said, I will destroy man from the face of the earth, for the flesh of man is corrupt. For by eating of flesh and unwise cohabitation hath he corrupted his race upon the earth. Verse 32, and I, the Lord, called unto my chosen who were persecuted and hidden away in the valleys of mountains, even on the tops of mountains. Verse 33, and I said unto them, because ye have kept my commandments, come forth and hear ye the word of the Lord your God. And they came forth from their hiding places, thousands and thousands of them. And I sent my angels unto them, saying, verse 34, say ye unto my chosen, this is the word of the Lord your God. You have found favor in my sight. For ye alone of all that is on the earth have kept my commandments, and ye have seen righteousness in the seed of your generations. Verse 35, go to, therefore, and build ships sufficient to my chosen, and get ye within, where none can pursue or destroy, salvation from a judgment. And this is the flood account. I'll bring a flood of waters upon the earth, even above the highest mountains, where I will destroy the corruption thereof and purge it of all uncleanness. Take ye therefore of all food that is good to eat, gather it in the ships, where the flood shall remain 150 days. Ye shall not come forth and find wherewith to eat. And the angels of the Lord went to the faithless in God and inspired them to build ships, both in the valleys and on the mountains. For 2 whole years builded they them, and then they were completed. And the angels of heaven numbered the ships, and there were of them 138, and the ships stood on the mountains and the valleys. Nowhere near the waters stood one of all the ships that had been built. And the earth stood in the ark of Noah in the firmament of heaven, in the place and grade of 600 in the Aegean roads, 24,000 years before Cosmide. And the Lord commanded the chosen to go into ships, and they went in, and in the same day the gates of heaven and earth were opened. And the earth rocked to and fro as a ship at sea, and the rains fell in torrents, and loud thunderings came upon the earth, or came up from beneath the floor of the world. And the sea came up on the land, first upon the valleys, and then upon the mountains, so that ships floated on the waters. So basically, the flood account, you can read this. I'll scroll it a little bit for you. Verse 48, the Lord said, I will name the fleets of my chosen, and their names shall be everlasting on the earth. The Lord named them Gautama. It's America. Shem, isn't that India? Japheth, let me see, Ham, Africa, right? Japheth, Asia, Shem, India, I think. I could be wrong. And Yista, China. Not sure. Verse 49, the Lord said, from these my seed will I people the earth over in all the divisions thereof, and that after generations, for thousands of years, may know the work of my hand. Behold, I give them a sign, which is my covenant to them, and their hearers forever, which is my crescent, in the form of a rainbow. I didn't know that. And whatsoever people hear this, my sign shall be as remembrance to me of my covenant, nor shall they be destroyed from the inheritance which I have given to them. Yeah, when you look at the rainbow on the horizon, that's the form of a crescent. It's not completed. It's a half circle. I didn't know that. That's the sign of the covenant. The Bible says this is a sign never again the earth will be destroyed by water. The Oahspe says it's a crescent. It's the covenant. It's the sign of the covenant, a rainbow. It's a crescent. He said, verse 51, and the chosen looked out of their ships, and the sky was clearing, and a rainbow shone in the firmament. And by the light thereof, the land was found, whither the Lord had brought his people. Ain't that interesting? Gautama means America. Gautama? So, verse 54, God said, suffer my people to bestow names in the places whither I lead them, for their name shall show in the cosmic era the work of my hand done this day. God said, suffer my people to bestow names to the places whither I lead them, for these names shall show in the cosmic era the work of the hand done this day. Okay, so I'm going to go to another verse here on my chosen. God said, behold, my chosen shall manifest many signs and words common to one another in these different divisions of the earth. My chosen shall manifest many signs and words common to one another in these different divisions of the earth. So no matter where we are going to remember the flood. Wherever the faithists are, they're going to remember the flood. They're going to repudiate idols, but worship the Great Spirit. We're going to see the crescent, the rainbow. They shall have the triangle. I don't know what that means, they shall have the triangle. They shall preserve the 4 days of change, and the moon is sacred days, Sabbath, and they should be called mass moon days. They shall be circumcised. They shall remember the 7 tetracts. Those are the evil vibrations. It says we will remember them. These are evil vibrations that we're all under. All of us have to one degree or another. Look at those vibrations right there. Enticing evil. Enticing evil. Ra. Ra is the flesh evil. Zema, the joking evil. I don't know what it means when it says that. The joking evil. Belial, worthlessness. These are 7 sins men have in one degree or another. Avon, vanity. Anash, delight in destruction. I think joking evil means the wicked tongue. It means the wicked tongue. I think. Now that I recall. When you say things, the things you say. And then you got Satan, desire for leadership, which is the captain of death. Desire for leadership. So, the Lord said, my chosen shall use these lights and symbols, signs and seasons in all divisions of the earth, whither I have settled them, and in the cosmic era I will come and show them the framework of my building, which I raise up to the Almighty. Verse 74, God said, now is the world of one language, one speech in all places, and my people spake they alike, man to man. Okay, so let's look at some more verses on my chosen. Behold, I saw that my chosen had become exterminated, and on all the divisions of the earth save Pan. And I saw that they who had been their destroyers had in turn nearly exterminated one another. And I saw that to bring the remnants of my people hither, they could again reestablish themselves and become the seed of a mighty people. But as for the land of Waga, Pan, it was already in the throes of death, and the Drux had become a festering sore. The spirits of the dead, tens of thousands of millions of them, would not quit their hold on mortals whilst life was on the earth. And I sent my angels round about the whole earth and gathered in the spirits of darkness, gathered them into the land of Waga. And that's why he brought about the flood. And when my work was in readiness, I raised up my hand as a surgeon that would lop off a diseased limb, and I cleft asunder the continent of Pan and sunk it beneath the waters, because it was becoming nearly irredeemable. The darkness, the drugs, they were chewing up the faithless, wiping them out. No spirits getting close to having no spirits to, like he says in verse 4, behold, I saw that my chosen had become exterminated on all divisions of the earth save Pan, and I saw that they who had been their destroyers had in turn nearly exterminated one another. They had to be delivered. It's the same way in this reality. The darkness is covering the earth, increasing. Verse 20, when God beheld what had happened, he called the eye hen, saying, O ye that could dispense with the Lord, gave I not unto you the mark of circumcision as a limit to the line of my chosen? Hear me now, my prophecy. The Ahuan shall be taught the name of Jehovah, the great spirit, and the plans of heaven and earth, and the Ahuan shall inhabit the whole earth in time to come, and he shall have dominion over everything on earth and in the waters of the earth. And in time to come, the Ahen race shall disappear from the earth. Their light shall not be found on this my footstool. The Ahens inquired of the Lord when these things should come to pass. The Lord said, 20,000 years. The Lord said, from this time forth, the Ahens shall not mingle with any other people. These are the faithless. eye hens. They shall not mingle with any other people on the face of the earth. That is my commandment. Whosoever violateth my word shall be cast out of my cities. Go and dwell with the barbarians. Inasmuch as the Iahuans are your hearers and are capable of everlasting life, ye shall be unto them the light of my kingdoms, teaching them peace, righteousness, and mercy. But shall in no case suffer them to enter your cities and abide therein. Neither shall ye raise a hand to do them harm, but if they come unto you in multitudes, take your stores, then shall ye depart out of that city, leaving the Iahuans to take the goods and food for themselves, for ye shall be an example of non-resistance for the sake of establishing the love of God in them. So we're under a commandment not to war under any circumstances. Let me go back up and try to get the context for God. For God said, I, the Lord, for my predecessors and successors, and for myself declare these things unto mortals. The chosen of God, being called the Ihens, because they were the fruit of both heaven and earth, and were taken into all the earth in the protection of God, his lords and angels, for the fulfillment of man on the earth, for the glory of the Almighty. And I, the Lord, at one time mortal, with my holy angels who had sprung from the earth in former times, walk with man, keep him upright in the way he should go. By command of God, the angels watched over man, teaching man oftentimes unknowingly of himself in all good works and industry. By constant changes of watch, did the angels relieve one another daily, weekly, monthly. Verse 5, and in no time did the angels leave the Ihens alone, without the light of heaven. And whithersoever the Ihens went, then there went the angels. And the angels often looked on sarges and were seen by man even daily, and man talked with them face to face. Then the angels told man what was good for him, showing him the way righteousness. The man depended on the Lord and his angels for all things, helpful to his understanding. And that's something, at one point, the angels, they came and manifested themselves. They talked with us face to face, spoke with us, told us what was good, showing us the way of righteousness. Let's look at some more verses on my chosen. Verse 9, God said, where am I chosen? Where is the greatest place of the Ihens? Thou hast shown me the Iahuans with their great cities and kingdoms, their places of great learning. But the greatest of all thou hast not shown. Man answered, I know not, O Lord, speak thou. The Lord said, in amongst the Ihorns are the Ihens, the little scared people, the little cities and the suburbs of the large cities of the Ihorns. These are the greatest cities. Verse 12, man inquired of God, how can that be? Behold, the Ihorns are 3-1 compared to the Ihens, outnumbering the Ihens. The Lord said, these that build temples of hewn stone and cover them with polished copper are not my people. These warrior kings that fortify their cities with soldiers are not my people. They are not great. Verse 14, but these are my chosen. They live in mounds. You know, that's interesting. They live in mounds. They live in mounds. The earth mounds of Ohio. Serpent mounds. Check that out. Mounds. Ain't that something? Mounds. He said the Ions lived here. Look at these mounds. Wow. Isn't that something? It's nice. Mounds. But these are my chosen that live in mounds. Cities with wooden walls. Cities with wooden walls. And cities with wooden walls. hmm. Interesting. Cities with wooden walls. He said, these are my chosen. These are my people. And clay walls. They are the greatest of all people. They dress not in gaudy colors, nor ornament themselves with copper and silver and gold. Verse 15, they are people of learning. They survey the way for the canals. They find the square and the arch. They lead the Ihuan to the mines where lead and copper and silver are buried. These are a great people. Without them, the Ahuan could not build his own house, could not find level for a canal, nor provide the square of his temple. The Ihans are the greatest people. Verse 17, my chosen have shapely legs and arms and feet and hands, and their hair groweth long and straight, white and yellow. Talking about albinos. And the Lord said, because of the Ihuan is of all shapes and sizes and all shapes and sizes and of all grades and judgment, even down to the ignorance of a beast. Behold, he is bringing forth years of darkness. Verse 19, come unto the Lord, O ye that are chosen. Ye have built houses and temples for the Ihuans, but of what avail are these things? Verse 20, behold, they are at war, and tribe against tribe, nation against nation. They no longer hearken to my rabbis, the priests of my chosen. Verse 21, go to now, ye shall build temples unto God. Then the Ihans inquired of the meaning of the word of God. Verse 23, the Lord said, long have I prophesied through my chosen, the Ihans. Now will I raise up prophets among the Ihuans, the copper-colored race. So, let's look at some more verses. Verse 14, read that. Read that. God said, suffer not the ennui to dwell with the Ihan, lest the seed of my chosen be lost. Who were the ennuis? Long hair, black and coarse. Ennuis came suddenly into the world, came in the north and south, east and west. Lord commanded the Ians to give the ennuis laws, rights. I have no idea who he's talking about. Verse 8, God said, sing ye songs of lamentation to my chosen who are lost, the faithless in Jehovah, for this also shall become a matter of record to the end of the world. Nevertheless, the time shall come when the Lord your God shall reveal the mystery of this day. So when the people return in their respective places, behold, they all sing songs of lamentation to the tribes that were lost. The Lord spake, saying, I desire to preserve the genealogy of my chosen. Ye have applied the law to things that are worthless in my sight. You have built a Babel, a tower of words, so that your tongues are confounded with one another. Ye strove to reach to heaven with a multitude of words, but made food for Hades. So now we have the account of Tower of Babel. But men were in darkness in those days, understood not God. So accordingly, the inhabitants combined the names belonging to the neighboring tribes. That is to say, one tribe said Ut, we. Another tribe for the same thing said Yat. Another tribe said Wat. And another Hoot. And so on. So the after generation said Ut, Yat, Wat, Du, or we. And this was called the Yeha language. And so great were the number and size of the words used that the writings of the ancient peoples were lost because none could understand them. So I don't. Okay, so let me look at something else for my chosen. Neither planned I from the beginning that my chosen should labor without examples of cities and kingdoms of righteousness. Verse 4, the evil man and evil priests who are subjects to Satan and his host remain in evil preaching, righteousness without a city or kingdom of example, but my chosen go away by themselves, build their cities, and a testimony of their faith in the Father. And they practice the fullness of my commandments by their lives toward one another. To him who saith, this is mine, I have not spoken. To him who saith, my house, my lands, I have not spoken. For inasmuch as these things belong to them, such men belong to such things, not to me. So, like it says in Acts, that the communities we live in, no man, we had all things in common. All things in common. Verse 9, think not, however, that the Ihans were the perfection of manhood and womanhood. They were not a developed race, nor righteous because of their own knowledge. By the constant presence of my exalted angels, they were obsessed with righteousness, being restrained away from evil. They were my sermon for the tribes of drunks and cannibals that covered the earth over. And by virtue of signs and miracles, and by non-resistance, I preserved them. Okay, talking about the chosen. For man of himself evolved only to power and evil. Wherefore, O man, thou shalt behold my dominion over the races of men to work righteousness and goodwill. Verse 12, my examples reach into the souls of the barbarians, so that in after ages I should prepare them to hear my voice and comprehend my commandments. For it is fullness of light amongst men when without my presence or the presence of my host, they shall understand virtue and knowledge, practicing them of their own accord. In which time men shall perceive that righteousness and peace and love toward one another are the foundation of happiness of the Spirit and the only light of its resurrection. Okay. Look at one more verse of my chosen, and then I'm going to close the video. It says, verse 4, the evil man and evil priest who are subject to hosts, or subject to Satan and his hosts, remain in evil, preaching righteousness. Okay, I read that. Let's look at the next one. Behold, I've demonstrated that my chosen can maintain themselves unharmed amongst barbarians. Also, that by unrestrained marriages, the sacred people is quickly lost amongst barbarians. Verse 18, for man witnessing terrible conflict should rather desire sons of strong limbs and arms and crafty minds to do murderous work abundantly, from which condition he had no incentive to rise in gentleness and love, the glory of the Spirit, that I, your Lord, might show after generations, first that without my hand in the work no good nor peace would come amongst men. Second, that only by a race of Ihans as examples of my power through signs and miracles could the barbarians be reached for their own good. Verse 20, not only did I leave the ruins of my cities, which had no gates of entrance and houses without doors of entrance, that ye might have testimony of the race of Ihans, but I have shown you that only by such procedure could the barbarians be induced to a higher evolution. Verse 21, think not, O man, that I did not foresee the time when men should question whether the Great Spirit ever placed the Lord over the earth, and that men should say, behold, there is no God, Lord, no God. For I foresaw these times and provided angels to go in advance, to show first the evolution of the races of men from out of the lowest darkness, and second, that cause of the evolution came from the Great Spirit and was directed unto righteousness. But had it not been so for the Lord your God, verse 22, for I left sufficient tribes and to this day who dwell in darkness, even cannibals, as a testimony that of themselves they possess nothing that causes a desire for evolution into knowledge and peace and industry, love, good works, and in one another. Verse 22, 23, will not man say one people is raised up in consequence of the presence of their neighbor, without a Lord or God and the angels of heaven? Verse 24, now behold, I have left savages at your door, and ye raise them not up, but destroy them, showing you that even your wisest, most learned have no power in resurrection, neither have I left any way open for the resurrection of barbarians, save by examples of atheists, Ians, who shall practice righteousness and miracles. And there shall rise up those who will do these things, and they shall succeed. And because of their success, they shall also be a testimony of the Ian race, in whom I laid the foundation of the redemption of the earth. So, it seems like only way that man is going to be able to evolve is by the testimony, through the anointed blessing of the eye hands everywhere we read, and that great spirit won't allow us to engage in warfare, does not want us to engage in I was getting ready to say intermingling. I don't know about that. I have to revisit that. But that's the best I can do, brethren. The verses that talk about the chosen, my chosen. It seems like the Creator is just basically showing us that it is only that the kingdom is only going to come through the chosen, the faithful of this day and age. The same thing as we have seen in history, that the Creator Spirit is going to do in this day. Eye hands chosen, the faithful, restored, power given unto them to work, to have a witness, to bring in the kingdom, to overcome the darkness. Okay, that's the best I can do for those verses. All right, servant of the Most High. I'm in the room. I like Oahspe's explanation for the rainbow better. Yeah, me too. That was pretty good. That rainbow, I never knew that he described it as a crescent. I liked that. In the Bible, it says it was a promise against destroying the world with water. But he calls it a sign for the chosen. You can see where it talks about the crescent and that the holy councils in the ethereal realms, when they're hearing from a god, they form a crescent, and then the god, he sits in the middle of the crescent, like the Turkish flag. I think the Turkish flag is the crescent and the star. The Turkish flag. Yeah. That's like a sign of heaven. The crescent and the star. But I don't fully know what that means. It's got to mean some type of power or a ritual, or I don't know. Yeah, Prince Judah. I don't know, man. I'm learning a lot of these things. I'm just new into this. I'm trying to learn as I go along and share. But certainly I can see there's an elected, anointed brethren. There's a race. There are the faithful. And everywhere I read, it seems the creator, he's trying to show that he's going to use them to bring the light to the darkness, the drugs, the Iwans, the mixed race people, and that is his plan to, um, he also is showing. He showed his plan for what he does with the newly dead and how they're raised up uh, to cross over into the chosen ranks. From what I could see, that even there's an option for them. It's not all lost when they cross over. The newly dead who are drunks and who are unbelievers, who are not faithists, and there's a plan for them to eventually elevate to the highest realms. I don't know. That's the best I can do for right now. It's um, hopefully I can continue get more understanding on it, then I can share it. But right now, that's the best I can do with the my chosen verses. Thanks for joining me, brethren. Hit the link, join me in my room, Facebook, where I just try to share verses and things to keep you focused throughout the day. Come in, get a little word, drop a little word, bless your brethren. Click on the link, I'll bring you in the room. But you got to participate, though. And so until I see you again on video, thank you for joining me. We want to give thanks to Heavenly Father, Earthly Mother for this opportunity. Until I see you, brethren, again on video, peace be unto you. Shalom.